Bam, we're recording.
Thank you.
You got it. Awesome.
Hey, John, I'm gonna give you host real quick because Ix suggested that I do that.
Oh yeah, go for it. Thanks, Ben.
So let's see. Yeah, continue. Okay, you are now the host.
Awesome.
Wield that power well.
Oh, I plan on being a tyrannical ruler.
That's good.
Be prepared for 10 years of hell. Just kidding.
Nice.
All right, sweet. So here's our data. I don't know, what do we want to store? Maybe let's just make like a people thing. So we'll have name, let's say Ben Swanson. Bam. And then age, I don't know his age, so we're just gonna assume it's 20. Awesome. So here's one person. Let's make like 3 people. Bam. I'll do a little more. Cool. There's me. Awesome.
Hey John, sorry to interrupt, but I think I don't have co-host. So if you could give me a co-host so I can like hop around rooms, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. I accidentally clicked the wrong thing. Bam, your co-host.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for making me host. Awesome. So cool. I'm 27. I don't know how old Crystal is, but we're going to assume you're also 20. Who else we got? Dustin. I'm going to assume you're 25. Crystal, is it small? Cool. I don't know if that's actually your last name.
No, it's my nickname, but yeah, that's cool.
Okay, we're going to pretend like it's your last name. And then we have Ryan. And can dig. Sweet. You're 22. Awesome. Let's test out this max by thing. So what I think this max by thing does is it's going to give me the top so-and-sos of whatever I get. So let's say I want to find like the top 3 ages, right? Let's try that out. So I think what I would do is I don't know, something like puts people.max by, and then this thing accepts a block. A block has block variables. Let's think for each person, I probably want to return a property of that person that I am judging by. So in this case, I would go person indexed at age. Cool. Let's see if it worked. To run this, I'm going to type in Ruby enumerable.rb. Oh, I get an enumerator back. I think I need to do this in separate lines. I think this is a weird Ruby thing. So we're going to say max array. And then I'm just going to say puts max array. Let's see if that worked. Bam. So what y'all just saw me do was code. What you didn't see me do is any sort of check for understanding or things that a teacher probably should do. So I'm going to ask y'all. Let's scrap that and see if we can rewrite it. I want to figure out on this array, I want to figure out which of these elements are the maximum age. I'm going to start calling on people and seeing if anybody can explain to me how I would write this. I'm just going to go straight from top down. Alexander, how am I going to start?
What I would do is iterate over each element of the hash.
How so?
What are we calling this? Person or people? People dot
People
each.
is the name of the array. Okay.
People dot each.
Oh. Okay.
No, I wasn't expecting you to have me go for it. And then I would just create a local variable called max and then check each one to see if that's greater than the max.
So I see the rabbit hole that you're going down here, and that works. And I'm guessing.
I know it's not neat.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to get a little bit better at using the right enumerables here. We literally, so what if I told you to look up the numerator max by, max underscore by? Do you think you could figure out how to use max by to get this to work?
Let's find out.
I think I'm going to help you cheat a little because we actually kind of just did it. And I think you might have been doing something else.
Yeah, I was looking at documentation.
It's all good. It happens. So we're gonna do max by is an enumerable that does this for us. So actually what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start it off. We're gonna say we're going to return, let's just say oldest people actually would be a great name for this. Oldest people is gonna equal some transformation of people. And when we do max by, what it's gonna do, we're gonna write it just like any of our other enumerables. We're gonna open a do, we're gonna close that with an end. We're gonna specify our block argument, which will be, so what is each term when I'm iterating over people going to represent?
Person.
A person. So we're gonna iterate over each person. And then the way that max by works is that you are returning some property of a person. And that is what you are checking when you are checking max, right? So for example, we could probably do this by, instead of by age if we wanted to, we could check like the length of the first name.
That's
And
what this documentation is pointing out. Okay, I think I'm following you.
so I could write something like, oh, maybe I want to find the person with the longest name. And the property that I would be looking for or returning would be person indexed at name and then dot length.
Hmm.
Let's see if that works. Of course, that's not actually going to find me the oldest people. That's going to find me the people with the longest name. Bam. Oh, under max array. Did I define max array anywhere? Does this thing work with dot length? Oh.
You need a number.
What do you mean?
It's saying, I think it's saying, hold on, I'm reading this wrong. Like if you do max by with parentheses, you can do, hold on, never mind, I'm getting caught up in this documentation.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this returns a number, right? Hey, let's do this. Let's pop a binding.pry in here. See what happens. Ready? Running this. I'm going to look at a person. So I'm going to hit Q. I just want to see what a person looks like right now. Bam. If I index a person and I go to their name, I get that.
Mhm.
And then if I index their name and I check out their length property, that returns a number.
Mhm.
I think this should work. I don't know what's not working here. Maybe you can only index out like a key of a hash. That's interesting. I bet you I could get this to work. I just am not sure exactly why it's not. Let me exit that. So it ran that time. Let's see if we can get it to run a bunch of times. Because I'm curious if it just goes till the end. Undefined max array for objects. Name error. Well, I don't know exactly what.
get rid of that puts max array.
Oh, I did not even see that there. Oh God.
Sneaky.
I was like, what is going on? Okay, cool. Now it works. So we were able to get the longest name.
Cool.
Where did I write puts max array? I don't even remember that. That must have been what I had before. Well, we make dumb mistakes sometimes. It's all good. No shame in that. Yeah.
Jonathan, I have a quick unrelated question. In a lot of these documentations and whatnot, I see people putting like %W in front of arguments or arrays. Well, it's like
That has something to do with converting something to a range. So I think you could do something like, I'm going to type it. I'm going to go in an IRB just to show you. Don't stress too much about it.
Okay.
I think you could do something like name. Does that work? No, you see how it just took this and turned it into an array?
Mm-hmm.
It does something. There's a syntax there. Don't worry about it. It's some fancy Ruby thing. It's not going to make you a better programmer. It's like a Ruby specific thing.
Okay.
But you could also just look up %W Ruby. It's something that splits something into something else. Yeah, that's what it is. So you can just you can turn a sentence into an array by being like, hello, my name is John. I do that, and then I get an array of all those strings.
Okay.
It's not even that useful outside of Ruby. Like, it's not even that useful inside of Ruby. It's some person who's been doing Ruby forever flexing on you. That's all that it is. Don't stress too much about that.
Cool.
There's a whole bunch of stuff like that where like it's so intimidating and it's just some shorthand way of writing something else. And then I don't know why. The thing that pisses me off is that they do that inside of a problem that's trying to show you something. So you get caught up on that instead of the thing that you're trying to learn. It's really kind of silly. Sorry, that's just one of my gripes there.
A lesson on regex would also be beneficial.
Oh, I'm not doing regex today. We're skipping that. Regex is cool to know for a couple coding challenges. By the way, fun fact, do you know that regex is not even more efficient than doing like some kind of algorithm instead? It's like usually not that efficient of a method, but it is nice for certain things. It's really good for like some email stuff. I'm not good at regex, but by any means, I could possibly probably, I don't know if I ever made Ben co-host because I just saw a button that was asking me to make him co-host. Anyways, yeah, I would not stress too much about regex right now.
Okay,
that would
cool.
be,
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. But let's do some ones. Let's do some easier ones. I want to do some easier ones and rapid fire questions at people. Let's actually make an even easier thing, and we're just going to do some of the pretty standard ones. I want to do an array. Array equals 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. And all I want to do is get a doubled version of this array. Sorry, I do not need that semicolon. Doubled array. Who knows how I'm going to get that? I need someone to start me off here.
Double array.
Yeah, so I want this to equal 2, 4, 6, 8.
Ooh.
You can do array dot map and then do
Sweet.
number times 2.
Yep. So I'm gonna see if I can get someone else to do that because I get the sense that you've got the idea. I wanna see if we can kind of uncover maybe any like questions going on. I didn't mean to mute you. My bad. I'm gonna see if anybody could help out there. Crystal, you want to give it a shot?
Sure. Okay. Oh,
Awesome.
sorry. Something's going on with my side. Okay, cool. So, but my question is, to go off of Alexander's point of using, I believe, dot map.
Mhm.
Is that what they said? I thought dot map would work similarly to select, but okay. So in my mind, I know that dot each goes over every number. It will go over everything that we put in the block. Maybe dot each.
Well, I'm really glad you asked. Let's talk about the purpose of all those first. So first, we're going to start with a map. What does a map do? A map's purpose is to create a new array that is a transformed version of the old array. We can make that definition better, where each term is a transformed version of that index from the old array. Let's think about circumstances where we would use a dot map before we actually talk about the syntax, right? Let's say we have 1, 2, 3. If I wanted to turn that into, I don't know, maybe I want to check to see if it's even, right? And if it's even, I put a 1, and if it's odd, I put a 0, right? So 1 becomes a 0 because it's odd, 2 becomes a 1 because it's even, 3 becomes a 0 because it's odd, right? So that works. That's one circumstance. Maybe I want to double everything in there. So maybe I could get, 2, 4, 6. That would be another circumstance where I could use a map. Another circumstance might be, maybe I have objects and I want to pull out their name. So maybe I have an array of objects, right? Instances. I am just using the wrong words left and right. Array of hashes, right? And maybe I want to take this array of hashes here, and I want to just say, like, I don't know, name equals John, age equals 25, whatever. I'm not 25, I'm 27. I was dreaming for a second. All right, so let's go bam, bam. Let's do John, Jacob. Whoops. Jingleheimer. So maybe if I want to turn this into just an array of, I don't know, John, Jacob, and Jingleheimer, this would also be a map. In other words, I'm taking this and I'm transforming it into something based off of whatever this is. Does that make sense?
Yes. So just to, I guess, reiterate and make sure that I understand it correctly. So you would, map would return the array of the names by using that?
Yep, if I wanted to. I can get it to return any transformation of each term.
Okay.
I can get an array of ages. I can get an array of names. I can get an array of something slightly different. The whole point is I'm transforming each element into something else algorithmically.
Okay. So if you wanted to use the array that was featured above, so would it just be something like array.map, and then to iterate over, like, curly bracket, pipe, then number.
Curly bracket, pipe. So for each number,
Then
what?
And then we want, you want the number. So I would write number, and then I want it. This is where I'm getting a little lost.
Okay.
Oh,
so
just like that.
Let's write it. I think at first it's totally healthy to just do these things with do and end. You don't need to worry about that shorthand syntax with the curly braces. Okay.
Okay.
So the way that I think about this is whatever this is going to be each number, right? So that means as I'm iterating through, let's put a binding.pry in there, right? As I'm iterating through, let's go ahead and run this. So I'm going to run Ruby enumerable.rb. We're going through this. Okay, what do you think number is right now if I were to check it?
Number is each number in that array.
Yep.
Yeah.
So right now, I stopped on the first iteration, so number is the first one. Whatever I return, right? Let's say I type in return hello. That's what the new number is going to be. Oh, I don't think I could write returns here. Don't worry about it. The point is that whatever I return here, which right now I'm returning nothing, which is going to be like nil basically, right? Whoops. Things are running a little slow on my end. Whatever I return is what the new thing is going to be. So let's say I have this array, 1, 2, 3. If I return number times 2, Well, that means in my new array, I'm going to have a 2 as my first number. Then when I get to 2, it's going to say, oh, okay, what is 2 times 2? Plug that in. I return 4. Bam, that's what I get. So that's kind of how map works. So this should work. Now you don't have to write a return statement there. It should work though, but.
Oh, if you wanted to keep it in the curly brackets, you could just do.
Oh, wait. Never mind. You can't. Yeah, you can't write a return here. What? I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I'm gonna send off the return part. I wasn't sure if you should mention a return in the curly brackets, but
in general, if you want to use curly brackets, you could think of an open curly bracket as a do, and a closing curly bracket as an end. That's literally almost exactly what it is. In fact, sometimes this will run when it's multi-line, even though it's not supposed to. So okay. Here, let's do puts that. And it might work, it might not. Let's see. Hey, it worked. That being said, you should never write code like this. If you have the curly brackets, multi-line, you should just do a do and end, because some compilers won't run it.
Oh, okay.
You use curly brace. If you're going to use curly braces, what I would recommend is you do that on a single line. That will always work. That's reliable.
I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
It kind of stemmed into my next question, but it was does dot map, like if you wanted to, could you just replace dot map with reduce, and then it would just reduce everything if you wanted to change it like to divide by 2 or something, and it would work.
No. So all of the enumerables actually do different things. For example, let's just take this whole thing, copy and paste it. I'm going to type in a dot select instead, and it's the same exact enumerable, but it's going to have a totally different result. So the first one returned 2, 4, 6, 8. The second one returned 1, 2, 3, 4, because this does not mean the same thing in a dot select as it means in a dot map. Let's talk about how we use our different enumerables. So a dot map creates a new array where each term is a transformed version of that index, right?
Mm-hmm. Let's
talk about what a dot select does, right? A dot select makes an array that has certain properties, certain elements filtered out based on their properties. So a select might make me go from, I don't know, let's say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to filter out all of the even numbers. I would get 1, 4. When you are working with map, maybe we can write another bullet point here. Always returns an array of the same number of elements. So if I start with like an array that has 10 terms, I end up with an array that has 10 terms. The terms will be different terms, or might be different. You could technically return the same thing, but that would be dumb. Cool. So you will return an array with the same number of elements with a map, always. A select, the purpose of a select is always to reduce the amount of elements in an array. So let's look at like a classic select. We want to filter out even numbers. Let's actually make this longer. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And instead of just putting it, we're going to call this doubled array equals that. And that way we can flip around between our variables. Awesome. So now what we want to do is let's make an even array. Right? Oh, I'm using, we're in Ruby, so we should probably stick with snake case. Me doing camel case was just force of habit. So we're going to call this even array. And this time, Crystal, why don't you help me write this to where I can filter out all of the even numbers or all the odd numbers?
Okay. I would do array dot select, and then do, and then pipes. And then in the pipes, I would go over each number. And then I would say number equals even. Is that okay?
Close. So what is even here equal?
Um,
Even is just not a variable I defined.
yeah.
So I wouldn't actually do a
Okay.
number. If you want to check to see if a number is even, what you would do is you would type in number dot even. I think it's a question mark, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
To check it, we're gonna just output it. So I'm gonna type in puts even array. Or a better check would be to actually go into an IRB. And why don't I just try typing 2 dot even. So that doesn't work. I think if I put a question mark on it though, it works. So 2 is even. I'll try 1 dot even, make sure it's doing what I think it is. Yep, it's checking to see if it's even, right? Not too complicated. Sorry, go for that.
So why did you get the no method? Hello?
Go for it, I can hear you.
Okay. I'm just a little confused as to why you got the no method error for even. So it's saying that like even was not a method, so that's why I gave you the error.
Yeah, so the Ruby is telling me that even is not a method, but even question mark is a method. So that's just the way they wrote the language.
Did you forget the question mark?
Yeah, and the thing is, that's part of the reason why I popped into an IRB, because I asked myself, I don't remember everything. I definitely forget a lot of shit. So do I remember that Ruby has an even method? Yes. Do I remember exactly what it looks like? No. So an IRB would be a great example on where I would just hop in, test it really quick, and then continue writing my code once I understand.
Cool. Okay.
Cool. Sweet. So our even array worked. Should work. Let's talk about why though. I wanna pick people's brains a little bit about why it's working, because I think some people get it to work and don't really understand why. So let's put even array, make sure it works. Exit out of here. And I'm just gonna do again, Ruby enumerable. Bam. Sweet, it worked. We only got our even numbers because this was our array before. All right. Who wants to answer some questions? Who's brave right now? Anybody?
Alex, we'll give it a shot.
Sweet. You called yourself Alex, third person. I love it. Sweet.
I was in a raid, so I always had to call myself out when I was speaking. So I'm more force of habit.
That's awesome. That's funny. Love it. Okay, so we're here. Explain to me how select works. How does select choose what stays and what goes?
Select will check if that number dot even is true. Otherwise, it will. If it's false, it'll ignore it.
Okay, I'm gonna throw out some curveballs to you.
Okay.
If I were to just put false in here, what would I return? What would even array equal?
Nothing, because it's not.
Nothing.
Well,
What? I want you to be a little more specific than nothing.
An empty array.
An empty array. I love it. So it would equal an empty array because why? Because each term. I'm gonna explain this if you don't mind. I'm getting that you're checking it, and I'm gonna check you on some more stuff too.
Okay.
But if you're cool with that. So let's say I have 1, 2, 3, 4. When I go into this dot select, what I'm doing is the first thing I'm doing is what's my first number? My first number is 1. Okay, whatever I return here is the condition that decides whether or not that stays. So if it's false, there's not even any checks or anything, but since I'm returning false, it's saying, okay, don't include this number. When I get to this number, there's not even any checks or anything, so it's not including this number, it's just outputting false. Here's a question for Are you with us, Rachel? No, Rachel. What about Sin? Worth the shot. All right, Crystal.
Yes.
If I were to just write true here, what would even array equal?
All the numbers that pass through.
All the numbers that pass for you. Exactly. Bam. So now we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It just equals true. Now, let's talk about like how those equal signs work, right? So when we do number dot even here, Crystal, what does number dot even equal when the number is 3?
False.
Exactly, it just
Okay.
equals false. So this is not going to get included. Is that starting to clear up a little bit on how dot select works?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Sweet. So dot select, dot find all are the exact same. So
Okay.
if you ever like see that, it should work the same. Cool. Also, another way that you'll see even checks, and this is actually probably a better way for me, I think it's a better way to learn it because it works in pretty much all languages. You'll see if the number over 2 has a remainder equal to 0. Whoops. This is 2 equal signs. It's just that because I have
Fancy font.
I fucked with my VS Code. Now I have a fancy font. Just so y'all know. Okay. So like let's say 4 over 2. What does that equal? That equals 2. What is the remainder? The remainder is 0. That's what this means. This is saying that's called a modulo. And let's say I pop it to an IRB. If I type in like, I don't know, 4 modulo 3, right? Oh, whoops. I meant to do 4 modulo 3. I just suck at typing. 4 modulo 3, right? If I divide 4 by 3, I can only divide it once, and then I have 1 left over. Classic remainder problem. So that module equals 1. So if a number is divisible by 2, it's even. And if a number is divisible by 2, if its remainder will equal 0 if you divide it by 2. That's it. It's just like don't worry too much if that seems hard right now. You're not going to have to do that on your code challenge.
Okay.
Awesome. So we have map. We have a select. Let's get to the shitty one that is normally trips people up, and that's okay. Reduce. Bam. So this, I think, is probably the hardest one. You can also do the most with it. But I always mess it up in Ruby, so I'm not going to show you how to do cool stuff with it. But I can explain to you kind of the concept if you want. All right. What will we use a reduce for, Crystal?
We would reduce the array. I guess like I'm assuming like subtract certain items from it.
Okay, so that's not what I would think about what a reduce is.
Okay.
And that's okay. That's nothing wrong with that. A reduce, we want to combine elements to equal one thing, right? Ultimately, a reduce returns one thing, which, by the way, you could make that thing an array. You could make that thing an object. But in general, a reduce returns one thing. Awesome. So let's talk about a little bit more of the architecture of a reduce, why it's there, and how we would use it. Okay? So a reduce works like this. Let's say we want to just find the sum. That's the most basic example. We're going to go ahead and we're going to say sum equals array dot reduce do, open up these pipes, end. So the thing that goes inside of these block variables, now we no longer have one block variable. We now have 2 block variables. Alex, can you tell me what those are?
1 second, I was working on blood oath. Can you repeat that?
What are the two block variables to a reduce?
I have no idea. I've never used reduce.
Well, you're going to use it today. I need you to focus for the next 5 minutes.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. So what are, do you have, I want you to look it up. Take
Okay.
do a 30-second Googling. See if you can tell me what the two variables are.
Isn't it like, mm,
You got the answer, Crystal?
I have a guess, like key and value.
Key and value. No. So we're not going to worry about key and value. We're not going to worry about iterating through a hash right now. Honestly, truthfully, I almost never do that. It can be done. I just haven't, I don't do it very often. So like I could figure it out if we want to pull up docs. I just don't do it often enough. So it's not really worth doing right now because
Gotcha.
also I don't think that's going to be something you come into that you encounter very often. It's worth learning kind of like what it is, but for now, let's not focus on that. There's two main things that always get passed into a reduced function though. So, you ready, Alex?
It looks like initial and symbol. I'm kind of confused on what they're referring to.
I
though.
don't like that answer. I'm gonna give you an easier to digest answer if you're okay.
Okay.
All right, we have two parameters we care about. An accumulator and the element that we're iterating over. I'm just gonna call it an element. So this thing behaves exactly like it would in any other element. What time is it right now?
Or 19.
Okay, I just wanted to check, make sure I'm not, I might actually have to go. I didn't realize that I went over time a little bit.
Retro.
Oh yeah, I probably got a couple minutes in here if y'all want to do this reduce.
Okay.
So an accumulator is, the reason why we use accumulator and not something like sum is because technically we can start this thing off with a non-zero value or like an empty array or something like that. We're not going to do that today, but let's just assume that this thing is like starts off at 0 and then we can, whatever we return is what our return value for our reduce is going to be. And the element is the element that we're on. So we have all these numbers and if we want, as we iterate through it, I can go like, oh, okay, I'm going to add the accumulator and the element, and this will equal the sum, and I'll explain why in just a second here. So, bam, I am going to run Ruby, enumerable, bam. Oh, wait, whoops, I need to put the sum instead of the other thing. Hey, that works. So I'm not going to do the math to confirm that this equals 36. But what it's doing is it's going to run through the first term. Let's say we just do it. Let's just do it with, for now, 1, 2, 3, 4, because I think that's the easiest way to digest this. This accumulator defaults to starting at 0. And what it says is, oh, okay, I'm going to put in 1. So now, whatever I return here is what the accumulator becomes. So right now, the accumulator is 0. After I plug in 1, the accumulator becomes accumulator plus element. So accumulator becomes 0 plus 1. I get to 2. Accumulator becomes 1 plus 2. And it becomes 3. I get to 3. It's already 3 because the sum of these equals 3. It's going to become 3 plus 3, 6, and so on and so forth. We have 4 to that. We would get 10. Prove that it works. Bam.
So it reduces all of, elements of an array to a single variable.
Exactly. Now,
Okay.
if you ever see reduce being used another way, you can initialize it with like something like that. So you don't stress too much about this right now, but you will see it initialized with like a non-zero value. For example,
Okay.
this is an empty array and you could do something, and that's like the default value for the accumulator. You could do something like accumulator and push in the element. And then now you just get the array back. Let's see if I messed it up. Oh yeah, I didn't mess it up. So if that blew your
Cool.
mind, Hopefully it didn't. I actually got to go, y'all. I will
Okay.
upload this video and post it to your channel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a great day.
You as well, John.
Thanks, well.
All right, bye. Wait, I'm trying to sign off here without breaking anything. Hang on a second.
It's all cool. I grab host from you.
Oh, okay, cool. Did you steal my screen share too?
I did not steal your screen share. You
Okay,
still
I'm gonna unscreen share and then